Live on tape from Union Tavern, it's the 100th episode of Parts Counter Guru.
Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast. 100, Keith.
I recognize that other voice.
Holy moly, yeah, we won't let people know who that is. But
We don't? Or can I not?
Yeah, you can tell people.
So
yes,
that's Jay's wife, everybody. Thanks to Aaron for bringing us in.
Yes, that's cool.
We've got the family here.
Yeah, we do have the fam. Celebrate family and friends. We've got a small gathering of friends and people who are supporters of the Parts Counter Gurus. I'm pretty excited about this, man. We just so you guys know, episode 99, we just shot that, and we were able to shoot that thing, as you will have heard already, from inside a Mach-E Mustang. How about that, man? That was pretty cool. Had fun with that. So, what does one do on their 100th episode, Keith? Do we just like make stuff up, or do we just bring stuff back?
Yes.
Good. So,
we've got more guest appearances coming.
oh, we do. We have plenty.
And that'll give me time to enjoy an adult beverage.
Cheers, my friend. Happy 100th.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, and while I'm thinking about this, and there's a whole list of people to thank, but Dennis did these drops that you all have been hearing on our social media channels,
Yes.
which are what?
That would be facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Check that out. We also were posting those up over on Twitter.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe, how
Whatever
many
works
beers
for
have
you,
I
man.
had?
Yeah.
100? Is that right? Yeah. So
Our 100th beer first.
exactly, yeah. So, but we're over on our Twitter account. We are at The Counter Show, so go check that out. We posted a few of those drops, and we really appreciate Dennis putting those out there for us.
So they're fantastic. He's a pro.
He's a pro.
He's a career professional,
Yep.
and so they sound great. They're funny, and it took him like almost no time to do them.
like 15 minutes to do 10 drops.
And they're
Parts Counter Gurus are celebrating their 100th show. Remember, if they can't show you how to fix your brakes, they'd at least recommend a louder horn.
This is probably my favorite part so far.
Yeah, I
of
think
this
so. Yeah,
experience.
I had fun with it,
Yeah.
man. But he, just a little history on Dennis. He worked for the great Pat O'Day, who some of you might be familiar with in broadcasting. He was basically the man on the West Coast who brought in rock and roll and was a big hit in Seattle. And Dennis worked for him for a period of time and was one of his favorite people to work with. So we really appreciate you doing that for us, Dennis. Thanks so much. And we have been playing the heck out of those and really laughing a lot about it. So thanks so much. So we thought what we would do on this show today, which, by the way, we are broadcasting this thing from the Union Tavern in Anacortes, Washington, which is a beautiful little seaside community. The Union Tavern is owned by a gentleman by the name of Joe Lopez, who was kind enough to let us come set up here, and we celebrated our 25th episode here.
That's right. Now that's Jennifer's husband.
Yes, that's
I'm sure
right.
he'll
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Yeah. But yeah, we're so appreciative of Joe letting us do that. Rothmeyer, who you guys hear from time to time, also is affiliated with these guys, and we really appreciate him and the crew, Tristana and Maddie and everybody here today, and their kitchen staff, Jason. Very much appreciative of those guys. So check them out. That's Union Tavern in Anacortes, Washington. They have a really, really, really good tap list available for you, and great food. You experienced some of that food today, didn't
Just
you?
had some lunch. Yeah, it was the
Some sort of
it
like
was the
club.
Union Tavern Club, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
or it was it was the House Club, whatever
It's a-
they're. Yeah,
It's a huge Sammy. Huge Sammy, nonetheless.
I had to have them.
No doubt about it. But we were here early enough to partake in some of the brisket that the chef had prepared, and some slaw. We were just sampling it, and it was delicious. So do yourself a favor if you're in town, make a stop by here. They're usually open from 11 a.m. to about 8 or 9 during the week, and I think they're open till around 10 or 11 on the weekend. So get over here and give them some love, man. Tell them Jay and Keith from Parts Counter Gurus sent you, and they'll treat you special.
So And I should mention, this behind us, if you're looking at the reflection, is across the street. We're sitting in front of the window. We're outside Union Tavern. So
that's a good point.
everybody's going to see this and go, it's that building there with the... No. It's actually right here inside.
Right on.
Okay, so let's see. You gave me the date. Where did I put it down here? We started
December of 2018, wasn't it?
Okay, if you say so.
I'm pretty sure it was, and I did the math on that. We have been averaging around 3 episodes a month since that started, and we kind of wanted to go over some of the things that we had talked about since we had gotten started, and then also, maybe recap on where some of those things went and where they stand today, because it's really kind of interesting. We started talking about some of these topics just because they were definitely worthy of having a discussion about, but here we are now. Some of these things that we were talking about have come to fruition, and we'll get to some of those things. And so throughout this whole podcast, we're going to have some guests on, and we're going to have hopefully maybe a little contest or two here. So we'll see how that goes. I can't promise that, but we'll see if there's some willing participants that are interested in playing a little trivia and potentially winning some prizes, man. Let's do this. First and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to Steve and Chuck over at AERA, who are on the Engine Professional podcast, who just recorded and released their 10th episode. We're pretty proud of that. We gave those guys a hand with that way back last year, and it's been very successful for them. You might want to go over to aera.org or engineprofessional.com and sign up for their podcast. And if you're a machinist, machine shop, or engine rebuilder, please take advantage of their memberships and the things that they offer, because that is definitely worth its weight in gold. Trust me, because Keith and I have used it several times as members, and me for many years. So there you go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chuck Lynch.
And I'm Steve Fox from the Engine Professional Podcast. And all of us from the podcast, as well as AERA, would like to congratulate Keith and Jay from Parts Counter Gurus on their 100th episode.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, so, and they've been very kind to us. Thank you guys both for the collaboration that you allowed us to do, and then you know, the things that we did with you. And I think it was
it was one of those situations where it was just a prime opportunity for them and us.
Yeah,
I think, and it was a lot of fun to work with those guys. So hats off. Cheers.
Who were they again? No, I'm just kidding. All right, so when we started this, the first podcast that we released, so we were trying to figure out, like, how do we make this whole thing work with YouTube video and social media video, and then Facebook got in the game, and we weren't, we were releasing things in different places and didn't kind of know how or where or whatever. But our first podcast episode was on AI and self-driving cars. Do you remember if I know that we didn't have the foresight to go, this is going to be a huge trend in 2 years, but I think we thought it was it was significant enough to start talking about.
I think that was the case when we started discussing the topic, because at that time, obviously everyone knows that it's been experimental, it's been tested, and we, Keith having the background that he has with information technology and those sorts of things, and revolving around that sector, we just kind of knew that we're not there yet. And back then, I think that was the biggest topic of discussion is, how will that work? Do you foresee that happening? And so now here we are, move forward 2 years, a little over 2 years, and we're still talking about it. And we just had a podcast recently where we did a video segment, and you can go over to youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus and check it out, what we found out that people were pushing the limits with this technology, and unfortunately, people have lost their lives because they're tricking the system, and you shouldn't do that. And then we had our friends over at Consumer Reports. Tell them a little bit about that, man.
Well, you're talking about the teaching the don't try this at home kind of stuff, where
Right.
we're going to show you exactly how to do this, and we're going to give you all the details you need to make it recreate this on your own. But please don't try this at home.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, and of all things, like, you know, when my parents wanted to buy anything, that was an old school trusted brand, right? Consumer Reports. And I sort of find it interesting that we, little you and I, although we do have a lot of industry experience, would be willing enough and bold enough to stand out and publish something that's like, hey, this is not good, don't do this. Like,
Right.
almost opposing.
Right. And I mean, they
Those guys.
really caught a lot of flack over
Yeah,
that.
it wasn't just us,
It wasn't
right?
just us. I mean, I think the entire industry was a bit taken back by the fact that they really crossed the line with that. But that's what we're trying to get across to you now at this moment in time. Whereas we were talking about it 2 years ago, our very first podcast, and we just kind of felt like then that we didn't have in place what we needed. You know, the machine learning, those things, the scenarios that have to be in place in order for that thing to react. You know, we're still so far away from that. We're a long way away from that. And I'm going to go out on a limb right here on our 100th podcast and say, I think we're still probably maybe 10 years away from even being close to maybe letting it get beyond what it already is.
So that's an interesting point. So when we started this, you know, your words were, you know, Rivian was talking they were talking a big game.
Yeah.
And they were kind of the one that was, I mean, yeah, Tesla, but from a truck perspective, they were really hyping what they were going to be
Right.
up. Now, it has taken them until literally this month, and they are about to start rolling out deliveries. We don't think they are due literally any minute.
Right.
Hey, side shot. Here, I'm gonna hand you the microphone, and give mom her screen back. And do you want to just hold? No, you gotta stay over there. Do you want to just hold this, or you want to hold the mic? Yeah, hold the mic. Here you go. So here.
Yeah, so we got a little special guest coming on. You guys have seen Sideshot.
All right,
He's
now-
very well versed in the AI and machine learning field.
Where are you going? So I can get you on camera. Okay.
I'm
You're
just
gonna
gonna
sit over there?
right here.
Okay. Well, I can't see your head.
That's the problem.
No problem. You don't want to be on. Okay. Well, yeah. You can just stand at the bar. Stand up.
You can stand up.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's recorded. All right. So here's my question for you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
That's not my question. Okay, my question for you is, of all the kind of players in the EV market, think back 2 years ago. How old were you 2 years ago?
9,
8 or 9, right?
8 or 9.
Did you think, or would you have guessed that the ones that ended up being a big deal, like Rivian,
Would be.
do you think 2 years ago would Rivian have been the one to beat?
They would have definitely not been the
You
top.
would probably have said something Tesla, right?
Yeah, probably Tesla.
Right.
All right. You think this late announcement from Ford on their... I mean, who would have guessed... Would you have guessed 2 years ago if I said Ford's going to have an electric truck out, probably, maybe, possibly before Tesla does? Would you have called me crazy?
Yes, I would have said, haha, nice joke.
Yeah,
You heard it here, folks. This is exactly what the point that Keith is trying to make. I think
put the grown-up drink down and stop whatever you're... Yeah, right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't believe me.
Yeah. That's just yeah. And here, okay, so and Rivian is the leader. We've got a lot.
Well, they're the one that, as of this moment, if they follow through with what they are saying, and I have no reason to think they won't, their truck's going to be out this month.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
literally within days.
we
right?
podcasted a few podcasts back where we talked about they had a delay because of chips but they were still ahead of the rest of the competition. They were still going to start delivering in late July.
Right.
So in August, people should start receiving what they've ordered. They said it will take them, well into 2022 to fulfill all those orders, but at least they're getting them to the customers. And what was fascinating about the way that they're doing it is how they put out this concierge team out there. They hired a bunch of people, which proved to everyone that these guys were serious. And in the meantime, what do we have? We have my favorite startup.
Well, before you go there, let me, because I know your arms. Your arms are getting tired holding the mic. So
Well, they aren't.
They're not? Okay. You just okay. So, well, maybe Aaron's arms are getting tired holding the camera. So, do you think, make a prediction for me here. We'll go back and revisit this in 6 months. The GM Hummer EV, do you think that's going to be a big deal?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but that crab mode, though.
No.
You saw yesterday, what's her name on YouTube and all the millions of followers and viewers that she's got? Blondie, what? Sorry. Look, he's laughing at me. What? What's her name?
I'm
not 12, I don't follow her.
Supercar Blondie.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Supercar Blondie, you have a fan here, so
she thinks it's a big deal. Do you not?
Not. I think it's pretty cool, and they're trying to do something with it, but I don't feel like it's as special as like the Rivian or anything like Tesla, the Mach-E.
Yeah, Tesla.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, especially for that price.
Okay.
We'll
see.
All right.
All right.
So there you have it.
Give me my mic back.
Our youngest guru.
We'll get you later.
Giving us his
Bye.
his input on that, which I think that there's going to be some accuracy there. He's been right about a lot of things.
He doesn't think it's going to be a factor. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
So we thought that we would run down the list, though, too, right, of the players in that field.
Yep.
And let's talk about, of course, we got Rivian at the top of the list.
Yep. Ford. What? You're on camera?
Yeah.
What?
We've got Rivian.
Wait a second. Are you not used to being on camera at this
Apparently
point?
not.
Did you just suddenly get a... Okay. Yeah.
Apparently not. Do you want that back, she's asking?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
But, hey, this is what you get from a live podcast. We have very we have very talented individuals that are helping us out here today, which we're very much appreciative of that. They got a lot of good input, and we're gonna have this is gonna be good.
I'm sorry.
This is
what?
gonna be good. What's that? So yeah, let's run down a list. We spoke about a few already: GM, Ford, Rivian. But then there's some that, and the next one I'm about to talk about is Lordstown.
Your favorite.
Yeah, my favorite. And
you know their slogan, right?
No, what is
it? Ride with Lordstown.
Oh,
so
yes.
I think
which
it was
way? Down?
Off a cliff.
Off a
so
cliff,
I think Ride with Lordstown off a cliff. So I think it was about 6 months ago that we started stirring this whole thing up. And by we, I really mean you.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because usually I'm the one that will, stir the pot.
Yeah.
And we just sort of felt like this is an I told you so. And I don't have my drops for the live show, but there was something like we had just.
Lordstown fan.
Here we go.
Remember when September, wake up when September comes, okay?
So we had come fresh off kind of this whole Nikola shakeup, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
And I guess I might as well mention them now.
Go ahead, because they're right in there with GM.
And that was our first sort of. Some of these people are just gaslighting investors. They're just seeing what they can get, and then they're it's almost like a Theranos type situation. I mean, I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but it's looking like it wasn't all truthful at this point. So we were a little bit, and I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there was something in this whole Lordstown thing that we looked at and said, I don't know.
Something was a little off about it, kind of like, bad fruit or something,
Bad fruit.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of get that sense, that smell of it, and it turned out to be, that, and we were picking up on it during that time and then it turned out to be that indeed there was trouble in the forest.
So the blowback was, for us, especially on the YouTube side, we had so many people that just said, "You guys don't know what you're talking about. You suck. You're, they're going to be the best. That you'll see, watch and see." And we just sort of went, "Okay, game on. We'll see what happens." Right?
Yeah. So we'll continue to talk about it until they put a vehicle out. That's
So tune in this time at the 200th podcast.
200th podcast. Yeah, maybe they'll be there. But you talked a little bit about Nikola.
Yeah.
And Nick, that was another one that kind of went south. That was a player in this. GM had signed an agreement with him, and then all of a sudden the CEO decides that
Trevor Milton. I think that was his name.
So.
Yeah.
Just pretty much revealed that there was a lot of things that weren't necessarily true. Boy, don't you find this nice? By the way, while I break in on this, this is what you get with a live podcast. You get a lot of ambient noise.
Yeah, like
this is
my wife over there talking so loud that she's going to be on the mic.
No, this is what we want.
Here, come sit.
So yeah, that's the fun part about being right here, is the fact that we actually are watching some of these vehicles go. Which, by the way, the speed limit is 20, and nobody's going 20. What's up with that?
Well, good luck. And yeah. So okay. So we left off at Nikola. It was all downhill from there, right?
Yeah, it was kind of downhill from there.
Jeep's gotten into the game a little bit, but I think I expected a little bit more from them.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we did. We talked about it in a recent podcast. There's some stuff going on, but not necessarily in the EV world.
Right. And that's where I just sort of thought, they're definitely late to the party. I know they've got a plug-in Jeep, hybrid, whatever, but it's like a 12-mile range.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really an electric. I mean, for 12 miles or 8.
Right. I mean, it's electric assist.
Yeah.
And a plug-in, if you will. It's what they call the 4xe, which we find that the most advantage you'll get from that is obviously the assist. When you're out, off-roading. Which, gosh, man, and we're going to get to this later on the Overland Crowd. We want to talk about that in depth today. We're going to bring on our good friend Rothmeyer and maybe talk a little bit about some camping and stuff with him. But yeah, Jeep really didn't do much in that sector. Really, all they did is come out with a couple of vehicles that Bronco had stirred the pot up with. The Ford Bronco has been really, really on the tip of our tongues a lot, and we'll get into that in the next segment. But I don't know what to expect out of Jeep, because Jeep obviously is owned. They're part of the Stellantis group, and if you guys have listened to us all year long about Stellantis, boy, they have had their problems, right down to the flooding that they had in Detroit with some recent storms. So buyer beware there. So
the one surprise that I don't think, I mean, maybe if you were just really astute, you saw coming, was of all the innovative EV platform vehicles, we all sort of stopped. We weren't thinking about it in this way, but Domino's Pizza. Domino's Pizza showing up going, oh, we've got a self-driving delivery,
Yeah, which is insane, but apparently it's working. It's in a test market in Houston.
Yeah, they're driving over to the Noid every, chance they get.
Which I found, what I thought was really cool is the fact they brought the Noid back.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a good opportunity, and we'll see. But I just saw a commercial last night.
They're still running the commercials, and that's been going on now for what?
3 months?
3 months?
Yeah.
At least 3 months?
So interestingly enough, here we go. This is an Isuzu. This looks like a 90.
That's a rodeo.
Oh, is it a rodeo? It is.
That's an Isuzu
90
rodeo.
mid to late 90s Isuzu rodeo.
You want to play Bug?
What?
Find the bug. What do you call that game when you're out? You
I-
all the love bugs, the
right.
the beetles. Yeah.
I'm happy to just try to
Slug bug?
identify anybody that wants to be recognized.
Yes, that would be awesome. We'd like to try to find someone who might want to win some swag.
So speaking of comeback,
Yes.
all right. So it just seems like in 2020.
2020 was
Yeah, it was kind of a turd, but also a lot of big comebacks.
yes, big time, man. The top of that list. We started talking about the Ford Bronco coming back, and it came with a lot of hype, to the point to where Keith and I were at SEMA in November of 2019. We would have put $10,000 on they're going to be there.
Yep.
And when we were walking around covering the show, we knew that Jay Leno was going to be there with a full restoration, if you will, of a Ford Bronco that was left in his parking space.
Beat up. And
Beat
trashed,
up.
Yeah.
What was the other night show
It
host?
was
the British guy.
It was Craig Ferguson. I
Craig
think.
Ferguson. That was it. So
Yeah.
Craig Ferguson drops his old Bronco off. I think it was like a '68 model.
Right.
Dropped it off. It's just a wreck. And
Parked it in Leno's
parked it in Leno's
personal
parking-
spot.
Yeah. And unbeknownst to him, I don't think he realized that Jay was going to go, oh, gold mine.
Yeah. Right. Wow!
So-
Look at here. I got.
Let's throw a coyote in there. Yeah, it'll work out. So we were fortunate enough to go to that particular show where he revealed that. We thought that during that time that we would get a sneak peek of what the Bronco was going to look like, or what we'd hoped that it would look like. And yet they weren't there. They didn't reveal anything. We were kind of baffled by that. But what we did notice is there were an awful lot of restored Broncos everywhere you looked at that show. And I think Keith and I put two and two together that they're not here, but they're in the background, and they're over there designing this thing, and they're listening to
Yeah. Well, you don't spend literally the most valuable press time you have in front of the largest group of automotive enthusiasts once per year. Your 20 minutes of time in the spotlight
Yeah.
on something like a 1968 Bronco, unless there's a reason to do that, unless
Right.
there's more to the story, right?
Right.
I mean, otherwise, and not to mention bring somebody like Jay Leno in, who I'm sure wasn't free.
Right, exactly.
So why
which
would
you
you do
stood
that?
5 feet away
Yeah,
from
right.
at the show, which was pretty cool.
And yeah, I got some of the denim fiber,
Right. yeah.
But yeah, you don't do that unless there's more to be told. And so that was a great sort of teaser, I guess.
I think it was.
It got everybody talking about Broncos again.
It did. I mean, everywhere we looked, we saw restored Broncos. So we put two and two together. We kind of felt like that they were going to be listening to their fans, and here we are now, middle of 2021, and we've been talking to dealerships that are actually delivering some orders to some of their customers, but they're also getting their demos in for their lot for their customers to come and try out. And Keith and I are in the process. We're standing in line waiting for one to come in here, which we hope happens pretty soon, and we'll give you some details on that. But what I want to talk about is the fact that, boy, when they brought the Bronco back, they really brought it back, man. In my opinion, they did it really well. There's a few misfires, I think, with the fact that you can't get a manual transmission in a V6 version of it, which is a real turnoff to some people. But I think that the more we talk to people, like say on the Bronco sixth generation forum, they're pretty confident that Ford is listening to the consumers, and they're doing what we've always said, live polling, right? On that peer pressure, get this, we want this, and they're doing it. And the list of, we thought that what they needed to do was make it easy for their customers to add accessories to it. Well, they just announced that these things are wired completely for all of these accessories.
Yep.
Make it easy to add these things on. You know, the things that Jeep wasn't doing, Ford brought it back or brought it in with this new Bronco.
Hey, side shot. Watch that glass right there under your chair that you're about to knock over. Bronco, hit or miss? Hit. Do you think it's going to be the biggest vehicle release of 21? Probably. Is there anybody that you think would be a bigger deal? Rivian. Well, that's okay.
You can go that way.
Yeah. All right, he's stealing a chair on camera from Union Tavern. Everybody, I'll call the police shortly.
We got this guy on the loose, man. Our little guru is out there. You know.
So
is he preparing for like a man on the street?
I don't know what he's
segment
doing.
Or something?
He's up to something. So Grand Wagoneer, another comeback. Kind of a big surprise.
Yeah, I thought it was. I think it's just Jeep.
I'm surprised to say the word surprise.
Yeah.
Huh?
You know what?
Well, I wouldn't have expected it.
Yeah, I mean it's true luxury is what it was, and when they revealed the thing, I was pretty amazed at how luxurious it actually is. Now we talked about it was the limited, the L, Grand Wagoneer L,
Yep.
and I think it's what's the limited, but it was three row seats, whole 9 yards. I mean, you looked at it's off-road capable, but
They're not going after that though.
No.
They're going after
the luxury,
yeah.
and it truly is.
Which is
So
clever
it
because
is.
everybody else has sort of the, Suburban. GM has the soccer mom lower entry cost three-row SUV cover. Like
Right.
they own that market.
Right.
But does Cadillac really have what it takes to compete with the Grand Wagoneer?
I don't think they do.
Because that would be your other direct competitor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I just don't think they do. I think that the Grand Wagoneer kind of, to some degree, outside of the Expedition, it kind of
Yeah.
stands alone.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, yeah, they're going after a niche market.
Yeah.
And-
So it was really kind of a smart move on their
Yeah.
behalf, considering all of the competition that they're getting from Ford.
Right.
With that Bronco.
right.
And again, their hands are full. I don't know if they steal Jeep fans away to go to a Bronco or not. I mean, we'd certainly like to know. We'd love to have comments on this podcast. Go to partscounterguru.com, and there's a comment section there. Just please leave us a comment, on what we're talking about.
It's called Ask Us a Question.
Yeah, whether or not you think that some of you Jeep fans are going to jump over to Ford. I want to hear you Jeep fans, the ones that are going to jump over to Ford because of this Bronco. Or if you're a Jeep fan, and tell us why you wouldn't. Period.
So Hummer, I see kind of the same thing. A little bit of a niche crowd. This is going to be hardcore GM truck owners that are willing to take that leap into an EV and want to overlift.
Absolutely.
And need more room than their four-door pickup truck will give them.
Right.
I think that's so. You got this crowd that is. I'm not buying anything but GM. I need an SUV, and this whole thing of the Hummer rebirth excites me. Right.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't even think that was going to be electric when we first heard about it. We
No.
just thought it was coming back.
And if you come out with an electric vehicle, of course, we all know that GM has the Ultium platform. The Cadillac Lyric is part of that group. By the way, folks, we've got here's some Harleys coming by us.
That's a leaker and a leaker. Oh no, sorry. What?
Yeah, the older ones were definitely leakers for sure. No, there's no Nortons in the mix. So, but yeah, I didn't. When the Hummer came out, they said it was going to be all electric. Of course, that was a bold move by GM to say we're going all electric by 2035. Anyway,
We'll see. We'll see.
So, hey, my bartender's here.
Oh, look at that. That looks a lot like your wife.
Hello.
weird.
Hello. Oh, it's good to be the king.
Careful. We need to finish this podcast.
Oh
before-
yeah.
Yeah, so another surprise comeback. Toyota Venza?
This was kind of a really.
Which is, well, that's the right idea. I mean, you can't, yeah.
Some Red Dog beer, I think. Somebody has Red Dog beer. That's what she likes.
That's a smart dog.
No,
Yeah.
not beer.
Toyota bringing back the Venza.
Yeah.
Which is a car that we looked at and considered buying in 2017-ish.
Yeah.
But they stopped making them the year before.
Completely changed.
And we couldn't get our hands on one. We liked it then.
Right.
I think it's smart. I think
I do
it's.
too.
We'll see how they do.
Well, I think that they go after a crowd that needed something like that.
All right, yeah.
Because there's a lot of voids there, if you will, in that market. What I found fascinating is like when you redesign a vehicle, typically you don't see like super major changes like that.
Yeah.
But with this one, it was like a complete
Yeah.
makeover. It even looks to me like it was like they stole from Lexus a little bit there. Of course.
Right, and we've commented on that before. There's definitely some components in there that you would expect to find in their sister line, Lexus. And this is going to be the theme, I think, when we release this Mach-E segment or segments that we went and shot the other day.
Yeah.
The Ford that should have been a Lincoln.
Oh yes.
I mean, it right now you're getting a Lincoln for the price of a Ford.
Lincoln could come out with an all-electric SUV on that platform, and I think you're absolutely correct, because that Mach-E it's obviously a crossover, but driving it, the feel of that thing feels so much like a luxury vehicle, like a luxury sports car.
Early 2000s Nissan Maxima.
Nissan Maxima with a throaty pop on there.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so other comeback that we sort of heard a lot of, have been rumored for a long time.
Yep.
Very odd in how they chose to bring it back in terms of a small pickup truck, but interesting. We'll see. And that's the Ford Maverick.
Can you believe it? It's
not really.
It's not. It was a surprise for me that Ford would use the Maverick name for a compact pickup truck.
This could be one of those things we look back on in 10 years as a society and go, wow, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe not, but
Other people are doing it. Hyundai's doing it. The small truck thing is happening.
it's a real deal. But Ford, once again, and not that we're like pro Ford. We love them all. We love the automotive industry.
Right.
We're not a fan of one specific. We will talk about the ones that are making the moves or not making the moves. That's what we do. What we do. And even though they're calling it the Maverick, I think that they really kind of hit it out of the park with what it is, for the intended use, which is you get the feel of a, like a four-door sedan or SUV, along with, is that an e-bike?
I'm going to go with 2017 Mongoose bicycle. No, it is not an e-bike.
Not an e-bike. There's a lot of those running around here. We'll talk about those in a little while with Rothmeyer and our good friend Scott.
Where'd Scott go? We need to get him over
We need to
here
get
in a minute.
Scott on here in a minute.
He's what?
Oh,
Okay, good.
Okay.
As soon as he gets done, let's get him over here.
So
The comeback of the year,
yeah,
the RV industry.
RV industry comeback of the year.
I actually don't. I'm not applauding this one.
Yeah, because you lose out
Yeah.
on good spots.
So I'm gonna tell. Let me tell you something. It's just
Let me tell you something.
good for the economy. Everybody took the year off from going into the office last year. 2000. I'm gonna go 16 Volkswagen Golf
Yeah, roughly with a wing
Yeah.
on top.
with the wing on top and a screwed up exhaust, and he's probably gotten in there and jacked everything else up.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's great for the industry. It's horrible if you're a longtime RVer because you can't find places to set up camp now.
Right.
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere. Wow.
Yeah.
It's an exciting market. So this industry, the RV industry, so Tell people again, how difficult is it? How far out should
Right.
people be booking? If you're looking to go out next summer,
Yeah.
should they start booking now?
So, for the past 2 years, we have been trying to get, maybe actually almost 3 years, we've been trying to get into Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
And we couldn't. There just wasn't, so they were doing some renovations in some of the campgrounds, which reduced the number of available spots already. And we were kind of waiting for that to be done, and then it just didn't. It's just impossible. It's like, so it depends. If it's a national park, they only sometimes allow a year ahead of time.
Right.
But if it's private, sometimes those people can book out 2-3 years ahead of time.
Well, in your situation coming here, you found a gem. You know.
Thanks again to Rothmeyer for
Yeah.
pointing it out.
Yeah.
That one I was able to book about 5
Don't give the
months
name,
ahead
please.
of time. Yeah. Not
If you
telling
wanna
you
be
where it
there next
is.
year, yeah.
But yeah, it just depends. But if it's a destination, you're a year ahead of time at least.
Absolutely. And
All
you
right.
need to really do your homework, guys, when you're looking for spots.
Hi, this is Vico.
This is Marquinhos.
This is Grayson.
This is Ademir.
And this is Leonardo. We are Razalon from Brazil. We are here to congratulate Jay and Keith for the 100th episode of Park Scouter Gurus. Cheers, guy.
So Scott just sat down. I'm going to heat up the mic for you. Hang on one second here. I mean, you can talk. There's just nobody will hear you
So,
until I.
Just so you guys know, the gentleman that's about to speak, he's a good friend of the family. We're fortunate to have him come and stay summers here with us. Scott is a cyclist, avid cyclist, very interesting person. He's a huge support.
Sitting in that chair, you agree? You full consent to be recorded.
Exactly.
I'm just warning you right now.
But,
so if you pick your nose, it'll end up on the internet.
Right.
but he's a big supporter of the Parks County Gurus, which we appreciate very much. He early on when we started this, he introduced us to a few folks, specifically the good folks over at Flying Lizard Motorsports.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and we didn't quite hook up because they're so busy. You got to understand, they're racing. You know, if they're not racing, they're building, and they're training, they're tracking, so they don't have time for us, man. But hopefully one day we'll be big enough, and they'll have time for us at SEMA, which we missed them at that SEMA. Darren said he was going to be there, but he couldn't make it, and but we were very much appreciative of that opportunity of talking to them. Anyway,
So did you know?
didn't.
I'll bet you didn't know this. He and I have traversed many of the same roadways in the Midwest.
Is that how you guys know?
No. But did you know this? He spent time in the St. Louis area.
I when we were having dinner the other night,
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking about some of the spots, and where he was just at, you said was a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, this guy gets out there.
Oh, you're talking about the Bike in the Rockies thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, that's for crazy people. I think I actually called you crazy over that. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
I've
that's-
seen the. Man, it's not the steepness of the climb; it's the length of time, the distance that you're climbing. Some of those. I mean, it's.
I don't know how he does it,
Yeah.
but he does it. He's in good shape.
So, yeah, go ahead here.
I was
You're-
just gonna.
yeah.
I'll ask you this: how long have you been cycling?
Probably avidly for 10 years.
And what brought you into wanting to do that?
Partly health reasons.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be in better shape, but I'm getting old enough where running and all those things don't work too
A
well.
little rough on the knees, isn't it? Yeah.
It's tough on the body,
Yeah.
and cycling you can do until you're 100 if you want to.
Ooh, look at that. We've even got. Look, I feel like I found a watch buddy here. I mean, look at that. Which one is that?
The Garmin Instinct.
Okay, this is the
You
Phoenix 6.
just
Yeah.
you did the Garmin and the Phoenix.
It's right here.
Yeah, but
It's right
the,
here.
what was the Garmin?
Did
Was
you
it
do a
back-
podcast?
Well, he did a review on it. You ought to check it out. Which, by the way, folks, if you want to check that out, go over on Parts County. Go to YouTube.com /Parts Counter Gurus, and Keith did an excellent job on the review. Check it out.
Yeah, I had an older Garmin, like Generation 3, like 10 years ago, that could do triathlons, and that was about it. Like, you could swim with it, but you had to wear, like if you wanted heart rate, you had to wear a band or something. Right. And then I went into this, and I went, holy cow, like I've got like pulse oxygen measurements, and it's got built-in GPS, and it's got maps that you can load onto it, and there's like 30 different sports it'll track, and I got it for, believe it or not, measuring my oxygen levels when I'm at rest, like when I sleep. Yeah. Because I was having a problem with that, and I was just blown away by it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It's worked out well for me. I use, I got it because it has both the GPS system and the GLONASS, which is the Soviet GPS.
Oh, there you go.
And it has the European GPS too. So you can pick 2 out of the 3 in order to, like, especially up in the Cascades here.
Right, yes.
A lot of times GPS tracking's so kind of spotty. So extra satellites.
Yeah. Nice. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because you get lost up there if you didn't have all that stuff.
Yeah. So I've had good luck with it up in Colorado when I was cycling up there. It was doing a great job, just accuracy-wise.
Right.
And everything else.
But you gotta have it. You gotta have it.
And like I said, like Keith was saying, the heart rate tracking is built right into it.
Yeah.
And so I really like that a lot too.
Have you ever had the and this is kind of hilarious. Like, if I'm in awkward situations, I'm trying to think of the last time it happened. But it's like, awkward, literally awkward, like almost like Seinfeld type awkward situations.
Right, that's pretty
And the
awkward.
heart rate alert will go off. Have you ever had it go off? And it's like, your heart rate is at an abnormally high level, and it's going beep, 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 beep.
I shut all that stuff off.
Oh, man, it's literally the soundtrack to a sitcom, because there will be an awkward moment, and my watch will just start going beep. Okay, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and mention this. So, and then I want to talk e-bikes for a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk e-bikes.
Just not that you're an expert, but just understand that I know really almost nothing. Okay? So nobody's going to hold you accountable for, like, well, Scott said, but I just, like, teach a dummy kind of thing.
Did you get him to sign the thing before he came on air?
No.
So
we'll get that later. We'll just edit it out.
Okay. All right.
We'll blur his face, alter the voice.
Right. Yeah.
So I've learned of this. I'm gonna have to try to keep this G-rated. So there's a you could, I guess, go to the place with kids, but there's a little coffee hut here at the edge of town. I'm using that word, intentionally. And it's almost like the old-time photo, like box photo booth kind of, right?
Right.
Like when you say, okay.
Yeah.
And so my wife goes out for a walk and comes home and says, you got to go experience this. And so we're sitting here. So it's called, I'm not even going to say the name of it on here, but basically the concept is, Jay, you said it's like Hooters, but for coffee.
Yes.
But I would say they're wearing way less than the girls at Hooters wear.
Pretty much. It's a fun thing to see.
Right. So my point, Scott, was that I biked up to the coffee hut thing.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there on my bicycle at the order window, and the heart rate thing starts going on.
Right. What do they call those things? Can I have some pastries?
And it was, and I didn't do anything like verbally awkward.
Oh, no.
But the thing was just blowing up on me, and I'm like, oh, it's just because I rode up the hill for.
We like our coffee up here, and we like to serve it.
They show up in the girls are working in bikinis serving coffee.
Yeah.
So that's okay. All right.
It's like the Hooters of coffee.
Right. Yeah. So e-bikes I'm starting to understand they're a little bit more for. Oh, well, we'll keep. Yeah. Here. Would you want to? It may have just.
No,
it powered off?
It powered off.
Okay. Well, then you have to talk for 2 minutes while I change the battery out.
Really?
Yeah, you want to carry
Do I have to do that?
And then we'll get into e-bikes. Can you are you comfortable?
Well,
You know your way around a
I'm
microphone?
never comfortable, Keith. Not around you. Yeah. No, I don't know my way around e-bikes. I don't ride one. But here's what I know. You know a dear friend of ours that comes up here, has a nice little dog. Jib is the dog.
Oh, yeah.
And I always get inspired. Dave, I hope, will come up today. He's working. He has an e-bike, but I've never seen so much conversation around a specific technology, if you will. You know, it's like having a good-looking little kid or something with you. Just becomes part of the conversation, or a nice little puppy or something, right? That bike gets more attention than he does. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. But he uses that thing. He commutes on this thing. I guess my question would be is that what the intent initially was for? So that was my question. I mean, what would you use an e-bike for if you had one?
You know, the range and speed's way better.
Yeah.
You know, and
Oh yeah.
It's not really a hell. It's not like
No,
you're
it's-
not exercising when you ride
It's
these. right?
pedal assist,
no, there's
basically.
a
It's an
pedal
e-assist.
assist.
Yeah.
You still have some exercise. You know, it's but not as much if you didn't have it.
Right.
You know, they cruise along at 20 miles an hour.
I
And
saw-
can go 45 miles.
I saw a guy on the highway coming into Anacortes. This was about 3 weeks ago. I'm telling you, this dude was ripping it at about 45 miles an hour.
Well, if
It
they're-
was
yeah.
insanely fast. So that's a key to this whole conversation. Is it won't be long. I think we talked about this.
Till they get regulated.
Till they get regulated,
Yeah.
and you're going to have a license on this thing.
So, do you have any sort of? I know probably not an e-bike, but bicycle.
Yeah,
Here?
I
Have
just
you been
have,
biking while
yeah,
you're here?
I just have bicycles, and a lot of times I'll get a e-bicycle for my wife, and so that she can ride along with me, but not have to do all the same exertion.
We did the same thing on the San Juan Island.
Oh, what a great place to do it!
And my wife Mary went and rented an e-bike, and well, we had some friends there that one of them's a cyclist, and yeah, he was literally pedaling it up the hill. So I think part of the conversation piece is the expense, because these things are not.
They're not cheap.
Yeah,
It's kind of like buying a small motor. I mean, you can get actual motorcycles new for the same price as some of these e-bikes.
You know, to me, what's interesting is one, you don't have to have a license; they are a bike,
Right.
and most of them don't go. The only ones I've seen are 20 miles an hour, is like the most. But what's in like on this Colorado ride I just did, there was a bunch of people who would not have been able to be on the ride, you know, because they're either
Right.
old or have other issues, and they were able to get out there and have a lot of fun with a lot of other people. Just you know, it's opening up a whole world for people.
Right, for people who normally wouldn't be able to do that, that love cycling. Maybe they had a back injury or a leg injury. So that's a good point you bring up, Scott. So,
Really, I mean, some of these guys have done the same Rockies ride 20 years previously, but they're getting to the point where they just body can't handle it anymore.
Sure.
This all of a sudden opens it back up and says, hey, I can go hang out with all my friends.
well, now what if you're someone who has never cycled, per se, like you do, the raw cycling, but they want to get into it to kind of get a feel for it? Would you recommend that they try cycling first that way, the
There
conventional
goes one right
cycling?
now.
There goes two.
You know, you can just rent them. You know, a lot of
And then
places
try that
are,
first,
are
see if that's something
renting.
you
That's what.
That's an older couple. He's got some sort of a pack on the back, like a hard pack, like you would almost like it's a mini version of what you put on a roof carrier.
Right.
He's carrying on the back of his. So yeah, and he's not working too hard. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's the point is that there's people now who can get out and about that didn't, and they can do it without a car.
Right.
And I know that's not necessarily aligned with the automotive thing. But,
That's-
you know, for big cities or for little towns, it's nice to be able to have another way to get around.
Absolutely, it is, and I think that's probably the biggest impact an e-bike will have is going to be in some of these larger metropolitans where people are used to maybe taking mass transit. You know, you throw your bicycle on the front of the bus, you get to a certain point, and then you trek it
Yeah.
from there. If you've got an e-bike, you can kind of eliminate. Yeah.
Well, and-
Cars, e-cars, electric cars.
Yeah, you don't show up as sweaty to work.
This
Right?
is true.
I mean, you can. Some of those you can bump that assist level up to the point where you're barely, like you're just moving your feet, really.
You know what I really like about those pedal assist versus the non-pedal assist is it's more intuitive, like riding a bike.
Right.
Because if you don't turn the pedals even a little, you don't get any power.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And where some of these others, it's more like a scooter with a.
So
and to me, that's more dangerous.
My son, because he loves danger, gets on an e-bike the other day with the throttle, and it's exactly where the throttle would be on a motorcycle.
Right.
And you can imagine, like it becomes, how soon can we buy one of these?
Right.
Like,
Right.
You know.
Well, I've been talking to our good friend Rothmeyer about that. He and I are going to go down and take a look at an e-bike.
We need to do that together and film it.
For maybe me and the wife.
And then we need to.
They're fun to even try them out with a rental.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
And you go out, take a trip, see if you enjoy it.
These things range in price for those of you listening. You can get into one for a little over $1,000, but you can get on up there to close to $5,000, $8,000 in some higher end ones. But I wouldn't spend that kind of money.
Well,
on
I'm
one.
trying to learn, and I know very little, but I will say that what I do know, it has a lot to do with the drive mechanics and whether using like a hub in the back wheel, which tends to be the less expensive way, or the more traditional bicycle type. A lot of them are using actual bike components, and the hub is or the drive mechanism is center of the bike. And the other thing that, and I'm guessing Scott's probably on the same page here. If in my head that's a bicycle, I know it's got a motor in it and all that, but
Right.
it's a bicycle.
Right.
So where are you going to go if you need service on a bicycle, right? To a bike shop.
Correct.
If you can't find the parts yourself, or you don't have the time to fix it, or whatever, I would tend to want one that I can go to a bike shop and get serviced if I needed to.
Sure. And I think that there are shops around that will definitely
some
do
of them.
that. The ones that sell them, obviously, or it should be, in my opinion, if they're selling them, they should offer that
Well,
service
you've got
for those bikes.
there's an e-bike company in the Seattle area close to here, and they're online only, and I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Is that Rad?
Yeah, that's it.
Rad, that's it. Yeah.
It seems like that's a big one with motors and
Yeah.
stuff. 'Cause I think some of their models fold up.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
compact.
But if you need work done on it, you have to deal with them, not the bike shop down the street.
It's all about the service, man. It really is. You're right. These are some of the things that people don't think about when they're making these purchases.
Yeah.
And
well, that's why you got us, right?
That's exactly right. And we were talking about that yesterday with someone about EVs. When a conventional vehicle, you got to take the thing in to have it serviced, and typically it's anywhere between 5,000 and 7,500 miles, 5,000, 7,500 miles. But when you buy an all electric vehicle, people just it goes right over their head that it still needs some maintenance. Yes, you don't have to change the oil. A lot of the components are just not the same, but you still have the brakes you need to check, and just a number of different components that are wearables, tires, those sorts of things. Motors, not so much. Typically, those things are pretty well
and
solid.
it's the same mindset. So if you own a Ford EV, like the truck or the Mustang or whatever, you're going to take that to Ford. But if you own a Rivian or a Tesla, they're going to probably come to you. It's not take it to a dealer for service. Even if it's warranty, you still have to think through how much. I mean, Tesla's done a good job with that, but it's still, ironically, we saw a Tesla service van on the ferry coming back from San Juan.
Did you talk to him? Did you get him on film?
No, he drove on the ferry, and we had a little chuckle because it was like a Ford Transit van.
Okay.
And we were like, well, look at that. It's not even a Tesla, right?
A Tesla repairman driving a...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tesla's not making vans yet, are they?
Not yet, no.
Well, there you go.
Right. They had to do something.
Well, so Elon, there you go, pal. You need to be making vans for your own service departments. There you go.
So you may not have known this, but as part of your reward for time behind the mic is that go in, Scott, and order a beer. We've got a tab open, and just tell them it's on PCG and have a beer on us.
All right.
As our thanks for sitting here, letting us get you on camera.
We appreciate your support.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
It's been fun watching you guys do your thing.
Yeah, it's been fun. Always enjoying coming in because I get that, hey man, keep it going, and so it's good, the encouragement and ideas. He gives me some ideas too, so it's much appreciated. So
that's why where the beer comes in.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. So thanks again for that, Scott, sitting in and talking to us.
Do I need to go try to round up Rothmeyer?
Congratulations on your 100th.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you for
appreciate that. Yeah. So
pretending to listen.
So before we bring on any of our next guests,
what are we doing?
Let's pause for this from somebody that means a lot to us.
100 episodes. There is no freaking way that's possible. These two dullards, Keith and Jay, couldn't keep a job at Burger King for the love of all that's good. This is a joke. This is fake news.
Thank you, Jade, for that, and thanks everybody for listening to part 1. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast at partscountergurus.com so that you can click on over to part 2. Meanwhile, I'm going to get some Burger King.